Asterisk disclaimer: this video contains content based on fictional storytelling and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. All names, locations, and events have been changed or altered to protect identities and maintain the integrity of the narrative. This story may include themes of suspense, mystery, and the supernatural. Please do not attempt to replicate or investigate any part of this tale in real life. Only 3 people knew the truth. That was the first thing I heard when I stumbled across the journal. 3 names, hastily scribbled in ink that had started to fade. I didn't recognize any of them at first: James, Lydia, and someone just called S. No last name. No address. Just those 3 initials, like whoever wrote it was too scared to spell it out. But here's the terrifying part: all 3 of them are dead now. Not recently. Not in some accident or coincidence. They died years apart. Different towns. Different circumstances. No one connected the dots, no reason to. Until now. I never meant to find that journal. It wasn't mine, and I definitely wasn't supposed to be in that attic. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. It was raining that day, I remember that clearly. The kind of heavy, slow rain that makes everything feel like it's drowning in silence. I was helping my cousin clean out our late uncle's house, an old place near the edge of town, barely holding itself together. He'd passed away a few months before, and the estate had just cleared for sale. No one had been in that attic for at least 2 decades. The ladder creaked like it was protesting my every step, and the dust was so thick it looked like smoke. But tucked away behind a broken trunk was a small wooden box, locked but fragile. I pried it open. That's when everything changed. The journal looked ordinary at first. Worn leather cover, yellowing pages, a faint musty scent. But as I flipped through the first few entries, I realized this wasn't some old diary filled with day-to-day ramblings. This was a confession. And not just any confession, a secret that had ruined lives, taken lives, and was still very much alive even now. The kind of secret that whispers to you even after you close the book. The kind that makes you check your windows twice and leave your lights on through the night. It didn't give the full story right away. The writing was cryptic, broken, like whoever wrote it was trying to piece together something they barely understood. But the message was clear: if you are reading this, it means I failed. You need to leave. Burn this. Never say the name out loud. I should have listened. I should have burned it. But I didn't. And that was my mistake. The house was cold that day, colder than it should have been. Even with the rain outside, there was something unnatural about the way the air sat in that attic. Still. Heavy. It felt like I was being watched the moment I opened that journal. And after that, strange things started happening. At first, it was small, noises in the walls, lights flickering even though the electricity was fine. But then I started dreaming. Or at least, I thought they were dreams. The same hallway, over and over again. Long, narrow, with a single light bulb flickering above. At the end of it, a door. Always closed. Always humming. And behind it, whispering. 3 voices. Always 3. I could never make out the words. But I recognized the tone. Afraid. Desperate. Begging. I brought the journal home with me, thinking maybe it would make more sense if I read the whole thing. But the deeper I went, the darker it got. It talked about something buried beneath a church that was no longer standing, about a ritual that was meant to be forgotten, and a name that should never be spoken. That's all it said. Do not say the name. Do not even think it. Of course, I did. I didn't mean to. But it stuck with me. It was written between the lines, carved into the margins, like it wanted to be remembered. And once I said it out loud, just once, that was it. That was the moment everything started to fall apart. I haven't slept properly in days. The dreams are stronger now. The hallway is longer. The door, it's open. And the voices? They're no longer whispering. They're screaming. Screaming for help. Screaming for me. And last night, one of them said my name. That was the first time I truly felt fear. I tried to track down the people mentioned in the journal. Just names and scattered addresses. James died in 1998. Car crash. Lydia in 2007. Drowned in her own bathtub. No signs of struggle. No explanations. As for S, there's no record. No death certificate. No obituary. Just gone. Wiped from existence like they never even lived. I checked police reports, old newspapers, even local folklore websites. Nothing. Like someone made sure no one would ever trace the story again. But here I am. Tracing it. And now I think something's following me. Not in the usual way. It doesn't leave footprints. It doesn't make sound. But every reflection I catch, it lingers a little too long. Every photo I take has something wrong in it, a shadow where there shouldn't be, a smear in the shape of a hand. My phone battery dies randomly. My lights flicker in Morse code that I don't want to translate. It's like the moment I uncovered the truth, it uncovered me. Only 3 people knew the secret. And all 3 are dead. I'm the 4th now. I don't know how much time I have. I don't even know what it is yet. But I know it's watching me. Listening. Waiting. And worst of all, I think I might have already said too much. I've recorded everything I can. Every dream. Every detail from the journal. Every strange occurrence since I opened that box. If you're watching this, I need you to understand, this isn't a prank, or a performance, or some viral video stunt. This is real. And if you're hearing this, it means I'm running out of time. Or maybe I'm already gone. Before I go further, there's one last thing I need to show you. Something I found tucked into the back of the journal. It's a page torn from a much older book, weathered, fragile, and covered in writing that's barely legible. But what's clear is this: the 4th always awakens the 5th. And the 5th never sleeps. And scrawled below that, in newer handwriting: whatever you do, don't let it hear your fear. So now I ask you, what would you do? Would you read the rest? Or burn the truth before it burns you? Because something tells me, you're the 5th. It's been 3 days since I filmed that first part, and I'm not sure if I should have uploaded it. Not because I'm afraid of what people will say, but because I think something changed the moment I hit publish. It's like speaking the truth out loud somehow made it more real, more aware. Since then, things haven't just been strange, they've been wrong. It started subtly, like the world was slightly tilted and no one else noticed. My clock runs backwards for a few seconds every night at 3:11 a.m. exactly. My voicemail is full, but no one's called me. And every time I try to delete the recording, it plays a static-laced voice whispering my name, and then another name I don't recognize. It's always the same, Simeon. Not mine. Not anyone I know. But the way it's spoken, slow, deliberate, like whoever's saying it isn't speaking with a mouth. I tried Googling the name with the other clues from the journal, James, Lydia, the church, but nothing solid came up. Just scattered posts from forums that looked half abandoned. Most were deleted. One that wasn't had a single sentence in bold: Simeon doesn't die. He remembers. I don't know what that means yet, but I can feel it pressing on the edges of my mind. Like it wants me to know but doesn't want me to understand, at least, not all at once. I tried talking to my cousin about everything. The attic, the journal, the voices. He just stared at me like I was losing it. Said I'd probably inhaled too much dust or mold. Told me to get some sleep. That same night, his cat scratched the living room wall raw, trying to get away from something invisible. It yowled so loud I swear it didn't sound like an animal anymore. The next morning, he called me, his voice shaky, and asked if I ever noticed the old mirror in the attic. I said no. He said, "It's not there anymore. We never found it again." I keep going back through the journal, hoping I missed something. Each time I read it, the writing looks different. Like someone's adding to it when I'm not looking. The ink is always the same shade, the pressure always consistent, but the words shift, just a little. One line that used to say, "Don't listen to the hum," now says, "The hum is the key." And another, one I swear wasn't there before, reads, "Simeon watched from the pulpit. He never blinked." The church it talks about, the one that supposedly burned down, was located just outside a ghost town called Halberd, about 2 hours from here. The town was wiped off maps years ago after a landslide took out the main road. But I found an old blog from someone who explored it back in 2008. They mentioned a chapel with strange carvings on the walls, no crosses, just these symbols that didn't match any religion. The post ended with the line, "I swear something followed us home." No other entries. No contact info. Just silence. I keep getting emails from unknown addresses now. Blank messages, no subject lines. But when I check the metadata, the sender always comes from somewhere in Halberd. Which doesn't make sense, there's no internet connection there. No power. The entire place was condemned. And the dreams are worse. They're not just dreams anymore. I wake up with dirt under my fingernails. Mud on my feet. One night I woke up in the hallway outside my apartment door, clutching a scrap of paper that said, "He sees through the cracks. I live alone." No one could have put that in my hand. The journal mentions cracks a lot. Not physical ones, cracks in reality. Places where the normal rules break. Places where things can slip through. I think that's what this is about. I think the 3 people who originally knew the secret didn't just find something, they let something in. And now, piece by piece, it's trying to find a way to finish what they started. There's a recurring word in the journal that makes no sense. It's written in red ink, different from the rest. Nithara. It shows up in the margins, between entries, sometimes even scratched into the corners of the pages. I tried saying it out loud once. My lights flickered and my phone died instantly. When it turned back on, the wallpaper had changed to a black screen with 3 white dots. Just sitting there. Like eyes. Watching. Sometimes, when I'm out walking or driving, I catch a glimpse of something in my peripheral vision. A tall figure, cloaked, unmoving. When I turn to look, it's gone. But it's becoming more frequent. Closer. My cousin saw it too. Said it was standing across the street from his window for almost an hour. He called the cops. They didn't find anything. Then he stopped replying to my texts. When I finally drove out to check on him, his apartment was empty. Not just vacant, erased. Like he never lived there. No mail, no photos, no trace he ever existed. The landlord swore the place hadn't been rented in over 2 years. I showed him a picture I took of us last month. He said, "That's not your cousin. That's James." I didn't correct him. I couldn't. The truth is, I don't think I'm alone anymore. There's something in my apartment. It never moves when I'm looking, but I can feel it standing just behind the edge of the hallway at night. my cat won't go near the door anymore. And last night, I found muddy footprints leading out of my closet. Not in. Out. I know how this sounds. I wouldn't believe it if it wasn't happening to me. But everything in the journal, everything they warned about, it's starting again. And I don't know how to stop it. All I know is this: only 3 people knew the secret. And they're all gone. Now I know it too. And I think that makes me next. I can't tell what's real anymore. Every sound feels amplified, every silence feels like it's hiding something just out of reach. There's this pressure behind my eyes now, like my body knows something my mind refuses to process. And I keep hearing that name, Simeon, in places I shouldn't. On a radio station that shouldn't exist. In a stranger's passing conversation. Even in my own voice, on a voicemail I never recorded. I tried leaving town. Packed a bag in the middle of the night, left my phone behind, took side roads just to avoid anything familiar. I didn't tell anyone where I was going, mostly because I wasn't sure myself. But halfway through the drive, my GPS started glitching, rerouting me over and over again. The screen would flash white, then show a road that didn't match anything around me. The name of the road? Simeon's Hollow. That road doesn't exist. At least, it shouldn't. I turned the device off, but I still ended up back in front of my apartment 2 hours later. No matter how far I drove, something kept pulling me back. And when I stepped inside, there was dirt across my floor, fresh, damp soil, and a long trail of wet footprints leading to my bedroom. I stood there, frozen, staring at the half-open door. I didn't want to look. I wanted to run. But something whispered, "You need to see." I pushed the door open. The window was cracked, but not broken. Sitting on my bed was the journal. I had locked it in a safe and thrown the key into a storm drain 2 nights ago. And yet there it was, lying open to a page I'd never seen before. A new entry. This one written in blood-red ink, messy, almost desperate. It said, "She's awake now. The 5th always brings the 6th. I don't know who she is. I don't know what it means to be the 6th. But ever since that night, I've started losing time. Sometimes it's just a minute or 2, sometimes hours. I'll come to with dirt under my nails, or water dripping from my clothes. I wake up with cuts I don't remember getting, symbols drawn on my arms with ash or soot, and bruises in the shape of fingers pressing hard against my skin. Then I started seeing her. At first it was just in reflections, always in the corners. A woman with long, tangled black hair covering her face, head slightly tilted as if listening to something just behind the glass. But now she appears even when I blink. I'll close my eyes for a second, and when I open them, she's standing there, not moving. Not breathing. Just there. Watching. I tried to film it. Set up cameras, motion detectors, anything to prove I'm not insane. But every time I review the footage, it's corrupted. Static. Or worse, frames where I'm gone completely. I'll be mid-sentence, and then nothing. Just an empty room. Sometimes the camera picks up a low hum that rises until the speakers nearly blow out. I played it once with headphones. My ears bled for 3 days. My neighbor, an older woman who's lived here for decades, knocked on my door the other night. She looked terrified. Said she heard someone walking back and forth above her all night. Said she thought I was rearranging furniture. I live above her. There's no one above me. I told her that. She turned pale, shook her head, and said, "Then who was dragging chains across the ceiling?" I haven't seen her since. The police came after someone reported screaming. They found me sitting in the hallway outside my apartment, clutching the journal and muttering words I don't remember saying. They took me in, asked questions, ran tests. Said there were no drugs in my system, no signs of a breakdown. But the officer who reviewed my case quit the next day. Left a single note on his desk, he's marked. I won't be next. That word keeps coming up, marked. In the journal, in the dreams, in whispered voices on the edge of sleep. It feels like something chose me. Not because I did anything wrong, but because I simply found out. And once you know, you can't unknow. You carry it with you. It stains you. Last night, I followed the sound of the humming. It was coming from the building's basement. I've never been down there before, it's locked. But the door was wide open, swinging slowly as if inviting me in. I told myself not to go. I told myself I wasn't that person who dies in the first act. But I went anyway. The basement was flooded with ankle-deep water, and the light bulbs overhead flickered as I walked further in. The hum grew louder. It wasn't a machine. It was something alive. I could feel it in my teeth, in my bones. A deep, low vibration that seemed to come from everywhere. And then I saw it, etched into the far wall in deep scratches, a symbol I had seen in the journal. A circle split by jagged lines, and at its center, a black smear that looked like it had been burned into the concrete. I reached out, just to touch it, and the hum stopped. And something breathed behind me. When I turned, no one was there. But I wasn't alone. There's a new voice now. One that speaks inside my head. It doesn't use words exactly. More like feelings. Dread. Hunger. Memory. I don't know how else to describe it. It wants me to go somewhere. It keeps showing me a place, a clearing in the woods surrounded by old stones, and something buried beneath. I've never been there before, but it feels familiar, like I've stood there 1,000 times in 1,000 dreams. I think that's where it all began. Or where it all ends. But there's another layer to this, something even worse. I found an envelope in my mailbox with no return address. Inside was a photograph. Old, faded, possibly from the 80s. It shows 5 people standing in front of a crumbling church. 3 of them match the names in the journal, James, Lydia, and someone who might be S. The 4th is my cousin. And the 5th is me. Only, it's not possible. I wasn't even born when this photo was taken. But the person in the photo looks exactly like me. What if I've done this before? What if I'm not the first version of myself to go through this? What if knowing the secret is the curse? A cycle that repeats every generation? The journal doesn't just record, it resets. Wipes memory. Replays the nightmare. I don't know who to trust anymore. Or if trust even matters. Because she's here now. Watching from the mirror. And this time, she's smiling. I stopped sleeping. Not by choice. It's just that every time I close my eyes, I feel myself leaving, like my body stays behind and something else slips in. I don't know how else to explain it. I'll blink and suddenly it's morning, and I'll find things moved in my apartment, drawers open, the fridge emptied out. I wake up in different clothes. Sometimes my hands are covered in mud. Once, I found blood under my fingernails, but it wasn't mine. My phone camera started glitching too. At first, it would just refuse to open. Then it began taking photos by itself. I'd hear the shutter sound go off randomly in my pocket, and when I'd check, the gallery would have pictures of me sleeping, taken from inside my room, from just above my bed. The angles don't make sense. I live alone. No one should be taking those photos. And worse, sometimes I'm not in them. The sheets are messy, like someone's been there, but my body is just gone. I tried calling someone for help. My aunt, who's always been the rational one in the family, someone who doesn't scare easily. I told her everything, Well, most of it. She listened in silence, but right before I finished, she asked in a hushed voice, "Did you ever hear about the fifth watcher?" I froze. That name. The journal mentioned something about watchers. Eyes that don't close. Presences that aren't bound by time or distance. She said her grandmother used to talk about it when she was little. Said every few decades, it picked someone. A person who stumbled too close to a hidden truth. The watcher would mark them. Watch them. Break them. And finally, replace them. "You're not being haunted," she whispered, "you're being studied." The line went dead. I haven't been able to reach her since. Her number still rings, but no one picks up. When I drove to her house, it was completely abandoned, like it had been empty for years. The furniture was gone. Walls bare. Dust thick enough to choke on. But there was one thing left on her kitchen table. The journal. A different one. This one had my name on the cover. Written in black ink, messy and scrawled. I opened it. Every page was filled with entries, detailed descriptions of everything I've experienced over the last month. My thoughts. My dreams. My fears. Even things I never told anyone. Some entries described events that hadn't happened yet. One said, "April 18th, you'll see her in the water." That's today. I threw the journal into a dumpster and burned it. Watched the flames eat through the pages, but something deep inside me knew it wouldn't matter. That night, the original journal, the one from the attic, was back on my desk. Untouched. As if it had never left. The humming hasn't stopped since then. It's louder now, vibrating the walls at night. My light bulbs shatter without warning. Shadows stretch the wrong way. And my reflection doesn't always match me. Sometimes I catch it blinking out of sync. Sometimes it smiles when I don't. But last night was the worst. I woke up at 3:11 a.m., that same cursed time, except this time, I wasn't in my room. I was lying in the middle of the street. No shoes. Barely dressed. Cold pavement beneath me, my body soaked in water. A street lamp buzzed overhead, flickering violently. And standing just beyond the edge of its glow was her, the woman with the black hair, her face obscured, her body jerking slightly like a broken puppet. She didn't move closer. She didn't need to. I felt her pulling me in without taking a single step. My legs wouldn't respond. My voice failed. It was like something inside me wanted to go to her. Like I was losing control inch by inch. Just as I felt myself begin to stand, a car horn blared in the distance and snapped me back. I ran without thinking. Didn't stop until I was home, shaking, soaked, heart pounding so hard I thought it would explode. I locked the door behind me, deadbolt, chain, everything. But when I turned around, the journal was open on my couch. The new entry read, "She let you go, for now. I can't escape." I'm starting to think there is no escape. I feel like I'm being unraveled. Like pieces of me are coming undone. And the worst part? I'm not sure what's me anymore. Sometimes I say things I didn't mean to say. Sometimes I think thoughts that don't feel like mine. And once, I caught myself in the mirror, grinning wide, too wide, without realizing it. That wasn't me. There's a secondary conflict growing in the background now, something that goes beyond her, beyond Simeon, beyond whatever the fifth watcher is. There are others. I've seen them in flashes. Faces behind curtains. People who aren't people. They wear human skin-like clothing, but they move wrong. Talk wrong. One of them came to my door yesterday, said he was from the gas company, but I never called them. He didn't blink the whole time we spoke. His eyes were too dark, like deep water, no reflection. I asked for ID. He just smiled. Said, "We're here for the harvest." Then he left. I think whatever this is, it's spreading. Infecting others. Or maybe drawing in people who are already broken. I've started seeing missing person posters in the neighborhood that weren't there before. Kids. Teens. A man I used to see at the bus stop every morning. Gone. And each flyer has something strange in the corner, a faint, barely visible symbol. The same one from the journal. I dug through my phone, old emails, voicemails, everything, and noticed a number that kept repeating itself. Not in full, just fragments. 3 digits here, 4 there. But when pieced together, it matched the contact number from the first photo in the journal. The contact labeled "Don't answer." I answered it. The voice on the other end wasn't human. It sounded like a chorus of whispers, layered on top of each other, rising and falling in and out of sync. They said only one sentence, "It's already inside." Then silence. Since then, I've noticed one more terrifying change. Every time I enter a room, there's a faint echo. Like my footsteps happen twice. Once from me. Once from something else. And last night, I heard myself say something, while my mouth was closed. The fear isn't just around me anymore. It's in me. Rotting me from the inside out. I don't know how much longer I can hold on to who I am. If this continues, I might disappear. Not physically. Not yet. But mentally. Spiritually. Whatever this thing is, it doesn't just want to destroy, it wants to replace. And the scariest part? It's patient. It knows I'm scared. It feeds off the fear. Every time I try to resist, it finds new ways to crawl deeper into me. Through memories. Through sound. Through reflection. Through moments I thought were mine and now, might not be. I'm writing this down as fast as I can, because I don't know how much time I have left before it takes the rest of me. Maybe someone will see this. Maybe someone will understand. Or maybe that's exactly what it wants. Tell me, what would you do in my situation? Do you think I'll survive this? Or am I already gone? I didn't plan it. I didn't have some great strategy or revelation. I was just desperate. Something inside me had snapped, finally pushed too far. The signs, the whispers, the shadows in the mirror, the reflection that blinked when I didn't, it all crushed down on me in one night. I'd had enough. I knew I couldn't run anymore. And more than that, I knew it wanted me to. It was never hunting me. It was hurting me. I stood in the center of my apartment, every light turned on, every reflective surface covered with towels and blankets. The journal was in front of me, resting on the floor like an animal that had grown tired of pretending to be paper. Its pages no longer blank, no longer just writing. They breathed. Moved. As if each line was a pulse. I opened it again, just one last time. My fingers trembled, sweat cold on my skin. The words rearranged themselves before my eyes. No ink. Just movement. Living symbols. And then they stilled. Tonight, it read. If you stay, she comes through. That was it. No threats. No screams from the walls. Just that one sentence. But it felt like a sentence handed down. So I waited. I didn't run. I didn't hide. For the first time, I invited it. I sat in the middle of my living room, candles burning around me like a circle of false hope, and I stared straight into the TV screen, which I'd left unplugged but still flickering faintly. That was her favorite way to appear. Through static. Through white noise. Through places that shouldn't be alive but somehow were. Hours passed. The hum started again. The walls shook gently like they were exhaling. And then, she came. The lights blew out one by one, like candles being pinched by invisible fingers. A gust of cold air burst through the room without a source. And the screen, black and lifeless just moments ago, glowed white with a silhouette forming inside. Thin. Tall. Hair hanging like wet ropes. Her head tilted unnaturally, first one way, then the other, as if trying to decide how best to enter. And then she stepped through. Not like a ghost. Not like vapor. She stepped. Foot first, toes stretching out, touching the hardwood floor as if testing its temperature. One leg, then another, until she was there, fully formed, standing 6 feet from me. No sound. No breath. Just presence. Heavy and oppressive, like the air had thickened into cement. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I didn't. I stayed still. I looked her right in the face, what little of it I could see behind the stringy hair and impossible shadows, and said, "Take me, or leave me. But stop playing." She didn't speak. She only raised her hand. And then the pain began. Not physical. Not exactly. It was like my mind was being peeled open. Memories flashed behind my eyes, only they weren't mine. I saw people I didn't know, places I'd never been. I felt the cold of ancient forests. The silence of forgotten rooms. Screams, so many screams, muffled by earth and stone. She wasn't just here for me. She was showing me what came before. What she was. A collector. Not of things, but of selves. Personalities. Voices. Souls. She wore them like layers, peeling back one for each victim. And I could feel her trying to slip mine on next, trying to understand me enough to become me. That's when I remembered the journal. Not just its entries, but the blood on the pages. It had always been a ritual. A contract. And every time I read from it, I invited her closer. Fed her. But maybe, just maybe, I could trap her with it too. With the last of my strength, I lunged toward the journal and grabbed the pen I'd left next to it. Her form flickered like a glitch in space, distorting wildly. She screamed then, an inhuman sound that made the windows tremble. But I didn't stop. I wrote in the journal. Her name is forgotten. Her face is lost. Her power, bound. The ink glowed. She screamed again, louder this time, hands clawing at the space between us like she could reach through and rip the words from the page. But I kept going. She cannot pass. She cannot stay. Let the one she took be freed. The room exploded with light. White, blinding. The force of it knocked me back, and for a moment, I thought I'd been thrown into another dimension. But when the light faded, she was gone. And I was alone. The journal smoldered on the floor, smoke curling up like it was breathing its last. The pages had turned to ash in the center, but around the edges, my words still glowed faintly. It was over. Or, so I thought. For the first time in weeks, I slept. Deeply. No dreams. No whispering. No footsteps pacing just outside my door. Morning came with birdsong, the warmth of sunlight on my face. It felt unreal. Too unreal. That's when I noticed something off in the mirror. It was subtle. My reflection moved as I did, looked like me, blinked with me. But the eyes. There was something wrong with the eyes. They were just a little too dark. Just a little too still. I leaned closer. And my reflection didn't. It stayed still, smiling. I backed away, heart pounding again, this time with a kind of horror that ran deeper than panic. I knew what this meant. I'd forced her out, but I hadn't destroyed her. I'd trapped her. And where else would she go, if not into something that looked just like me? She's in the reflection. Waiting. Watching. And worst of all? She knows me now. Everything about me. My patterns. My routines. My fears. And she's patient. She doesn't need to attack anymore. She just needs to wait until I look into the mirror long enough, until I blink first. Because when I do, she'll switch places. And this time, no journal can save me. The twist wasn't that I survived. The twist is, I thought I did. So now I leave this warning for whoever's watching: cover your mirrors. Don't answer the phone when it rings from an unknown number. And if you find a journal that knows your name, don't read it. Burn it. And then run. Because some secrets should stay buried. Some names should remain forgotten. And some shadows aren't shadows at all. They're waiting. Always waiting. So tell me, would you have fought back? Or would you have let her in? Let me know in the comments if you think I'm still me, or if she already won. It's been 6 weeks. The mirrors in my apartment are still covered, and I haven't turned on the television since that night. The journal, what's left of it, is locked inside a steel box buried under 6 feet of concrete in a remote spot I'll never visit again. And still, I don't sleep. It's not just fear. It's something worse. Doubt. I don't know if I made it out alive that night. I mean, I did, physically. I'm breathing, walking, talking. But sometimes I catch myself doing things I don't remember deciding to do. Staring too long at my own reflection. Standing completely still for minutes at a time, just listening. Not thinking. Just listening. The worst part? I still don't know her name. The journal never revealed it. Not fully. Just fragments. Maybe that's what's keeping her tethered. Maybe names are more powerful than we realize. Maybe if I ever speak it, she'll be free. Sometimes, I hear the name in dreams I can't quite recall when I wake up. A whisper behind my left ear. A syllable spoken through static. It vanishes before I can grasp it. But the dread lingers, clinging to me like a wet cloth. I wake up with cold sweat and the sensation that I'm not the only one in the room. I started therapy 2 weeks ago. My therapist says it's trauma-induced psychosis. That I'm projecting unresolved fear onto ordinary objects. That the reflection I think I saw was a hallucination, my brain protecting itself from whatever really happened. But the thing is, I want to believe him. I really do. It would be easier if this were all in my head. But then, a few nights ago, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer, obviously, but the voicemail left behind was only 5 seconds long. No voice. Just breathing. And right before it cut off, the faint sound of pages turning. I went cold. Checked the box where I buried the journal just to be sure. Dug it up. Still sealed, still locked. But there was something new, tiny claw marks, like scratches, around the edges of the box. As if something inside had tried to get out. I didn't rebury it. I burned it again. This time with gasoline, in a barrel, until it was nothing but ash and smoke. I don't know if it'll be enough. I just know I couldn't sleep with that thing still existing. But even now, sometimes when I walk past windows or polished surfaces, I see movement that doesn't match mine. Just for a split second. A hand still raised after mine has lowered. A head tilt that doesn't reset. And the smile, that damn smile. I've stopped looking directly. I glance, that's it. Never more than that. People have started noticing changes in me. I'm quieter. Less reactive. My coworkers say I space out too often. My sister says I talk in my sleep now, says I sometimes laugh in a voice that doesn't sound like mine. I tell them I'm fine, that I'm just tired. But honestly, I'm not sure who's telling them that. It feels like me. But what if it isn't? I think she's still here. Not with me. In me. Or maybe I'm just being paranoid. Maybe this is what surviving something like that looks like, never really moving on, never really knowing if the door's truly shut. But then I remember the man in the journal's first entry. The one who started all this. He died trying to destroy it. All three of them did. The original secret? It wasn't that she existed. It was that you can't get rid of her. Not completely. Because once you see her, once you invite her in, a part of her stays. Forever. And now that I've told you this story, now that you've heard it, watched it, imagined her, maybe that part of her is yours now too. Maybe that's the real curse. Knowledge. She doesn't need mirrors anymore. She doesn't need journals. She just needs your mind. Your fear. Your belief. Because belief is the strongest doorway of all. So if you're watching this right now, ask yourself something. Have you seen anything strange in your reflection lately? A delay? A flicker? A shadow behind your eyes that wasn't there before? Think hard. And one last thing, if your phone rings tonight, and there's nothing but breathing on the other end, don't listen too long. Because she only needs a few seconds to step through. What do you think? Did I survive? Or is she already in control? Would you have read the journal? Or left it closed? Let me know in the comments. And if enough of you want to know what happens next, maybe I'll tell you. Or maybe she will.